Well, a second straight night of mostly peaceful protests and relative calm in New York City. Here to talk about how New York City is handling all the public outrage over George Floyd's death is Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams. Thank you so much for joining us. And we should point out, you spent 22 years on the New York City Police Force. You were one of the co-founders of 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement. That's an organization that works to improve the relationship between police and the African-American community. What has your reaction been to what you're seeing here in New York, around the country, around the world?
My number one concern is that these young people have a righteous pursuit for justice in our police agencies, but we also have a fundamental obligation to make sure our city is safe. Last night, we had a police officer that was stabbed in the neck. We don't know if that was a terrorist threat. We don't know if that was part of the group that's attached to the violent arm of what is happening across our country. And we must be vigilant of making sure we can protest, but we can't do it with violence.
Yeah, as borough president, how are you dealing with all of that?
My goal is to be on the ground to talk to the organizers. I've been communicating with many of the organizers here to tell them how to identify those who are here to burn down the city. There's a difference between the peaceful protests that you're seeing sweeping the nation and those who are trying to embed themselves in the peaceful protests. They're not looking for police reform. They're looking to destroy our cities. And I'm talking to the organizers to share with them how to identify those people, how to get them out of your movement, so that you don't cause real damage to those innocent protesters who are looking for reform.
Yeah, that distinction obviously so important. And speaking of police reform, you've said training is key when it comes to police de-escalating a situation, but that training has not yet evolved. What do you want to see change?
We need to, number one, identify those officers who have the characteristics to be on the front line of these very tense encounters. And then we need to train officers on how to de-escalate each other. We're trained how to de-escalate a person who's in a high stressful situation, but we need to now identify how do we de-escalate each other. And what happened in Minnesota is very important. For the first time, you're seeing prosecutors say to law enforcement officers, you are your brother's keeper. If you stand back and watch someone committing a crime, you are held accountable at the same time. And that's a very important message that we have not seen in the past.
Yeah, I want to talk about accountability. Do officers need to be held to a higher standard than they are right now?
Without a doubt. Think about this for a moment. The law enforcement community, as a police officer, I had two rights that even the President of the United States, thank God with this one, but the President of the United States did not have. You have the right to take away liberty and the right to take a life. That is so dear and precious to America. And if you give that right to someone, you must be held to a high standard and high oversight. And we're not doing that well here in our country. Far too long, we have become a safe haven for those who want to use that power in an abusive way and not in a corrective way. And this is not the broad brush and demonize every person who adorns a uniform or puts on a badge, because there's an admirable, a large number of people who we should admire for what they do, as I was saying. But we need to hold people accountable in a very real way. You can't be a police officer and put up a white power symbol, as we saw a New York City police officer do the other day, or drive over a crowd, or pull down the face mask of a young man and mace him in his face. That can't happen.
Well, we certainly appreciate your very powerful and important words. Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams, thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Take care.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.